The Protestant Reformation. During the Renaissance, humanism led Europeans like Erasmus to think critically about the Catholic Church. Some learned Europeans began to read the Bible and interpret it for themselves instead of simply following the Church's interpretation. Some Europeans began to believe that the Church did not uphold the Bible's teachings. Some felt that Church leaders were corrupt. Others thought that the Church had become too rich or that it was too involved in politics. The Inquisition also led to criticism. The Inquisition was a church court set up to try people accused of heresy or religious belief contrary to the established church teachings. The church gained wealth by taking property from people who were accused of heresy. Early critics of the church, such as John Wycliffe, Jan Hughes, and Girolamo Savonarola, risked their lives by speaking out. Church leaders executed both Hughes and Savonarola, yet the calls for reform did not end. The printing press helped spread the desire for change. As books grew more and more common, more people were able to read the Bible and scholarly works. People were able for the first time to form their own ideas about religion. More people began questioning the Church's teachings. Luther calls for reform. The Church made money by selling indulgences, otherwise known as pardons for sins. A German monk named Martin Luther studied the Bible and came to believe that people could neither buy nor earn pardon for sin. In 1517, Luther drafted his 95 Theses, a list of arguments against the indulgences. He sent the list to a church official who called for an investigation of Luther's beliefs. Luther's call for reform started the Reformation, which is a religious movement in which calls for reform led to the emergence of non-Catholic, otherwise known as Protestant, churches. Luther believed that religious salvation came only from faith. He also believed that the Bible, not the Church, was the only true authority for Christian life. He encouraged ordinary people to study the Bible. People began Lutheran churches based on Luther's teachings. Other Protestants took the movement even further. In his book Institutes of the Christian Religion, John Calvin offered an explanation of Protestant beliefs. His main theme is the belief that God has complete control over the universe. Calvin also stressed morality and hard work. The Reformation began a series of events in which churches continued to split up over various disagreements. One new group of Protestants, the Anabaptists, baptized only adults. Other new churches included the Baptists, the Mennonites, and the Quakers. In the 1700s, English clergyman John Wesley founded the Methodist Church. During this time period, many European rulers forced their people to follow the ruler's religion. Catholics and Protestants felt certain that their own beliefs were the only correct doctrines. Many people did not think other views should be allowed. Sometimes the state churches punished people of other faiths. Such abuses of religious power later led the authors of the U.S. Constitution to call for the separation of church and state. As you can see in the drawing to the left, that is Martin Luther as he is nailing up his 95 Theses onto the door of the church. Each of the small states in Germany followed the religion of its ruler. Some German princes remained Catholic, while others became Lutheran. Religious conflict in Germany was a cause of the 30 Years' War. That war raged in Central Europe from 1618 to 1648. The fighting left Germany in ruins. As you can see on the map to the right, the different religions as they were at that point in time. Religion also played a major role in English politics. King Henry VIII wanted to have sons to rule after him, but he and his wife Catherine of Aragon had only one child who survived in infancy, and that was a daughter. Henry, who was Catholic, asked the Pope to allow him to end his marriage. The Pope refused. In response, Henry declared that England was no longer under the authority of the Pope. Instead, Henry formed a new church, the Church of England. This church is also called the Anglican Church. As head of the Church of England, Henry ended his marriage. Henry went on to have 5 more wives, 1 more daughter, and 1 son. Each of his 3 children later ruled England in turn. When power changed hands, England went from Protestant to Catholic, and finally, under the rule of Elizabeth I, to Protestant again. Even after the Protestant Reformation, millions of Europeans remained Catholic. The Catholic Church was especially strong in Italy and Spain. In response to reformers' criticisms, the Church began to make changes. These changes, which helped keep Catholicism strong, are called the Catholic Reformation. When Luther posted his 95 Theses, Pope Leo X did not take the event very seriously. He believed that the calls for change would soon end. However, the Pope did excommunicate Luther, that is, he banned Luther from the Catholic Church. In 1545, Pope Paul III took action against the Reformation. He called church leaders to the Council of Trent, where they rejected several key Protestant beliefs. First, it decided that only the Catholic Church and its leaders could interpret the Bible. Second, the Council declared that the Church tradition was just as important a guide for Christian life as the Bible. Third, the Council decided that both faith and good deeds were needed for salvation. Over time, the Catholic Church ended many of the abuses that Protestants had criticized. This helped Catholics remain loyal to the faith. Also, Catholic mystics such as John of the Cross and Teresa of Avila wrote inspiring works about their faith. Mystics are people who aim to experience the presence of God. Many mystics have written about their experiences. In addition, Ignatius of Loyola helped the Church gain new strength. He was a Spanish soldier who became religious while recovering from war injuries. Loyola wrote a set of spiritual exercises that became the basis for the Jesuit order of priests. The Jesuits were disciplined and very well trained. They became educators in the Catholic schools. Many became missionaries. The Catholic Reformation and the work of the Jesuits helped to spread Catholicism to European colonies around the world.